like some people ask, oh, what's your go-to meal? I'm like, yo, I don't know. Like, as long as it's vegan and it tastes good, I'm good to go.
Okay.
I know that there's certain things that I gotta like try to check off, and like certain
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nutrients that you gotta make sure
Yeah.
that you have and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
when it comes to training and running high mileages and all
Mm.
that stuff, I'm too hungry half the time to think about like what I'm eating. Like, as long as it's like checks those boxes of being
Okay.
vegan and tastes good, I'm there.
Hello, family. Welcome to another episode of the Live Run Balance Show. I'm your host, Kenneth Pinckney. I'm not the only host today. I have a guest co-host along with me, a gentleman that I kind of met via a mutual friend of ours in the running community. Also, a good friend, the person we're interviewing. And so his name, my guest co-host, Mr. Greg Lehman, the fear experience representative at HOKA, also avid runner. So welcome, Greg, to the Live Run Balance Show. Thank you for being my guest co-host.
Thank you so much. Very happy to be here. It's an honor.
Yes, yes. So our guest who we're going to be chatting with or interviewing on the Live Run Balance Show lived a lifestyle of a vegan, if I get that right. Also a runner. He's a podcast host at the Run, Eat, Sleep Show. Also, he's a co-host of the MR Project. His journey of life featuring the Runner's World magazine, 5 years sober. Also, he's a Boston Marathon Qualifier with a chip time for 2 hours and 40 minutes, 43 seconds to be exact. His goal and passion is to increase visibility for Black and the predominant white running space showing what is possible. So family, welcome to Tommie Runz to the Live Run Balance Show. Welcome, Tommie.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So how you doing today in the East Coast?
Doing pretty good, man. It's a little rainy over here. It's a rest day for me, so I'm happy I don't have to get out there and put any miles in.
I know, so it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But cool. Definitely looking forward to getting to this, and just enjoy this time together, and get to know you, and maybe just get to know one another. Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate the opportunity to be on the podcast. So thanks for having me. And I'm glad I got a cool co-host today in Greg.
Yes, yes, definitely. Yeah. So Greg,
Cool.
take over.
All right. Thanks so much. So just looking at your sports background, we're going to get into all kinds of topics today, but just starting specifically with sports, I thought it was interesting that your first sport was golf. And there are a lot of runners that, either participate in golf first and then transition into running or do both at once. I'm wondering if you find any overlap between the two sports and if you found applications for the skills in golf that have translated well to running.
I guess not too much, not really. So like I think some of the things that I've noticed maybe some overlap is actually going backwards whenever I do play golf. I don't play golf that much now just because I run so much, and being out there running 6 days a week, normally at least an hour every day, every time I run, it just takes up a lot of time from like work and family and stuff like that, or just social activities. So being on the golf course for 3 to 4 hours, just doesn't typically bode well for like a Sunday for me. But whenever I do get out there, I do feel like, maybe some of the maturity, and some of like the patience that comes from running. And now that I'm saying, maybe I got some of the patience that I have with running from golf, because it's a slower sport, but it's definitely one of those ones where you have to have any lapse of concentration in golf, and or running at times can not bode well for you, down the road on the next hole, the next mile. And everything to me, I'm probably because I'm a little biased, but everything to me ties back into the sobriety side of things for me. Kenneth mentioned earlier 5 years, but it's actually been 6 years. So I gotta say the sixth part. I've been 5 years vegan. But so I think everything for me goes back to that, because I I didn't know that I was learning that like you really can only play one hole at a time or one shot at a time on the golf course. And then when I went into sobriety and like learned about one day at a time, you know, and like living in this moment and not like worrying about what you're gonna do to stay sober tomorrow or what you did, you know, yesterday or whatever. It's all about this one moment. Then that kind of bled into the miles, like running 1 mile at a time, one, you know, block at a time, one interval at a time. So everything all just kind of plays, they kind of work together. I don't golf much at all anymore, but I think it's like the patience and then that continued thought of just leaving the old stuff behind you and just not even looking forward too much because you can't think about mile 25 at mile 1. You know?
So that's good stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a limit time, man. When I think about that a lot too. As I kind of get up in age, especially with running. Yeah, you want to see that finish line, but just being in the present moment and just taking it 1 foot at a time, you know, and just join it. Yeah, so and not to rush the process or get to you know, you have a goal to want to cross that finish line, whatever, but just join the present, you know, just really just being that present and trying to do just 1 mile at a time, you know, half a mile. Yeah,
that's all you got really, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
1000%. With that, and to expand a little bit out with everything that, you know, is going on in your life. So fatherhood, podcast, running, the small shoe store you have behind you, you know. I'm wondering, you know, you referred to today being a recovery day, and you know, that is such just essential for, you know, any longevity in the sport and staying healthy. I'm wondering what other like guiding principles you have in your life around like divvying out the time that each of these passions of yours and responsibilities of yours takes, like what your approaches are to those things, what scheduling looks like, what even sleep looks like.
You know, I think there's just certain priorities that you have. I'm definitely not an extremely organized person. If you could, I know this picture looks good, but if you could see the floor, then you'd be like, oh, I get it, you know. The floor is not as neat as this background, trust me. But it's like I base my things on priorities. I mean, so I try my best. You know, running is a priority for me. My sobriety is a priority for me. My kids are a priority. My job that helps me, you know, pay the bills and all that stuff. Like I make sure that I try to check off those boxes as often as possible, and give them the time that they need at the moment they need that time. With running in my job, it's kind of easy to plan those two things because obviously like I work during a certain amount of time. I can take a lunch and run, or I can run before, or I can run after. But then when you talk about like, you know, kids events and picking up from school and other things like that, you have to make sure that, or I feel like I have to make sure that I'm being very intentional with the kid side of the thing or the family side of things to make sure that not only am I like, because if I sit at my job and I sit at my desk and do all my emails all day, and do the things that are in my job description, then that's an easy, like, obviously I did my job today, you know? And if I go do the 10 miles I'm supposed to do today, then it's fairly clear, you know? But when it comes to like family and kids, it's like, I could easily mistake checking the family kids box off by picking them up from school and getting them something to eat and then coming back downstairs to work or running, you know. I could go, well, of course I spent time with you, you know, because I was there. I remember it. I checked the box. So I try my best to make sure I focus a lot more on that to make sure that it's actual quality time. It doesn't happen every day, you know, because I don't believe that there's any, I don't think there's a such thing as balance at one moment in time. I think balance comes in a larger, you know, broader scale, because at certain moments in life, you do have to go all in on work, or you do have to go all in on your marathon training, or you do have to go all in on the home life. And there's certain moments are going to seem very unbalanced. And I heard Rich Roll talk about this a lot, and that's kind of where I got it from. It's like, but there's certain moments, if you zoom in at that moment, you'd be like, wow, this guy's this guy doesn't even run or he doesn't even work. He's just been with, just all kids. But then you take it, maybe next day or next week or something, then it's like all of one thing, but on a broader scale, in a month or a quarter or a year or a lifetime, it seems very balanced.
Beautiful. Love that.
Well, I mean, I stole it from Richard also.
Shout out to Rich Roll.
Yeah, so shout out to Rich.
Yeah, I'm a big Rich Roll fan too, so I like listening to the podcast. So he kind of inspired me,
Yeah, I mean, but it's really tough though. I mean, because like balance is a thing that people talk about a lot.
Yes.
And it can make you feel like a bad everything.
Yes.
I'm not, because I'm just not the type that's. I mean, there are some people that are very meticulous and have like this allotted time for every single thing.
I know.
But then at some point you do have to like dive into one if you're passionate about it and if you have a goal that's worthy of this time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like if you want to pursue a goal like your business or trying to get started, it takes a lot of work, a lot of grind. Sometimes take late nights or wherever, early morning or wherever, take some sacrifice something, if you're married, you gotta sometimes you gotta, like with my wife pretty much, and hopefully your spouse or whoever, somebody understand what you're trying to do. And so
and just to add on to that too, one thing I always say is, especially when it's always about running typically, but it really applies to like whatever you want to do, whatever like the passion is, whatever this like next project is or company or goal or whatever, is you have to me, you have to try. Don't ask people to come along the journey with you, but share your passion or share your goal with people, so that they can have the opportunity to decide to come with you or not. Because sometimes we just do something and we go, and then we expect everybody to see it and go like, oh, I'll figure out what you're doing, and then I'll follow you anyway. But you share your goals with people, and it's not like sit everybody down and say, hey everyone, I'm running a marathon, so you have to do these things, you have to like let me whatever. But if you share like, hey, I got really big goals and I it's going to require some time of me and blah blah, and you get out there and do your thing, then and you still have to have some type of compassion for your for people around you, but it allows them to say like, instead of like, oh, you're going running again, or oh, you have to go running, it's what time are you running, when what day, what time are you running this weekend, how many how long are you going to be gone on this day or that day, or will this work for this, whatever. So then you allow people to help you be a little more balanced, because they're trying to like not fit in, but playing with you your day and their day.
Oh yeah, they're definitely just sharing what you're doing. And then hopefully they understand why you're doing it, and just and they can work with you, I guess.
Exactly.
So I say that right. But definitely that's good. That's good. So what do you model yourself after, or who inspired you to do what you do?
I guess I don't necessarily model myself after anybody per se. Actually, like it sounds weird, but are you familiar with Nipsey Hussle?
Yes.
So it's oddly enough, this is the day, like I think 4 or 5 years ago, I think it's 5 at this point. From the day he was killed 5 years ago. I think it was 4 actually, but even before he passed, I was definitely a fan, and I liked the way that he carried himself, and the way he went about business, and like the foresight and the passion to learn more about this other side of life, like business, and how to maneuver and carry yourself as a brand. And the one thing that I always like that really like hit home with me was like the concept of like 360, like a 360 yourself, like, cause like in like the music industry, there's like a 360 deal where, it's all encompassing. Everything you do is owned by like this, this entity pretty much. And you really just like a trap. Like, I mean, it's, you can't really move with it much, but if you 360 yourself and decide, hey, my passion is like arts and crafts.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything that you do that's like a new passion project or a new thing or a new business or a new venture, if it all comes from the arts and crafts, it'll all feel true and authentic to you
Mm-hmm.
and the people that are following you.
Mm-hmm.
So with running is my thing. So everything that I do, I try to make sure that it feels and fits into that.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Run Eat Sleep show obviously is an easy go.
Yeah.
And I'm vegan, and then also like I'm worried about like sleep and figuring out how to get better at recovering and
Yeah.
things. So that makes sense. And then I got the
Yeah.
PR project, which are my friends
Mm-hmm.
who are also into running, and we also have the same goals of creating more diversity and going after PR. So I have the PR project, and then the clothing line that I started a while back was just like that's why not build something else off this running thing.
Yeah.
And then like the Instagram with the reels, and then the events that I'm trying
Yeah.
to throw, everything comes from the one thing. So it's not,
Yes.
so and it's like if I have an opportunity that seems like it'll take away from like my core, which is, sober vegan runner. So black sober vegan runner, if it takes away from that
Yeah.
or makes me feel like I can't be one of those things to the level that I want it to be, then I can't do it. So I guess I would say I model my if I had to model my business side or like the way I'm trying to move forward, then I'd have to say like a Nipsey, the way Nipsey pushed in his lane. But like people that inspire me are like my friends, and just seeing them go out and do their thing, and like Joe, Lance, Aaron, Gary, Ern, Dante, like just all these different people that that are in this run space that are reaching their goals.
Yeah.
And we run together, so they inspire me every time that they go out and crush a workout or start a new business venture, or Aaron's designing for ASICS, and and Joe's on the cover of Runner's World. Lance is globetrotting the world with ASICS, and it's just a dope thing to watch your friends succeed.
Oh yeah, definitely. I enjoy seeing people that I know succeed. That kind of inspire me. To go after it. So continue to strive. Definitely. Yeah. So like you say, Nipsey helps. So and just I went into the interview with Master P. Well, I call him Mr. Miller now. Yeah. So how he knew, what he do in the rap game, how he evolved, with the years, and and just dancing, doing it as a businessman.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so he had a great interview recently with another podcast, person, Ed Milet.
Oh yeah, Ed Milet, Ed's a good guy. He's got some really good gems there.
Yeah. So it was a great interview doing Master P on Mr. Miller, So so definitely. So going back to the vegan lifestyle, and when talk about the vegan lifestyle within the running world, do you see things that could be improved with that? Get better.
I don't know about like veganism like in running. Like actually, I finished a race in Miami, and they had like all this food lined up, and then they actually had like vegan trays that you could whatever. So I mean that's cool, but I think that I mean they're kind of like two separate things to me, like because I just am vegan and I don't like it's not some like lately I've been more towards like the worried about like the sober runner vibe, because I'm not like a big like some people ask, oh, what's your go-to meal? I'm like, yo, I don't know, like as long as it's vegan and it tastes good, I'm good to go. I know that there's certain things that I gotta like try to check off, and like certain like nutrients that you gotta make sure that you have and all that stuff, but when it comes to training and running high mileages and all that stuff, I'm too hungry half the time to think about like what I'm eating. Like as long as it's like checks those boxes of being vegan and tastes good, I'm there. But I think more and more people are leaning towards like maybe not necessarily vegan, because I'm not like I'm pro vegan in the sense that like I am. And if someone asks me about like some of the things that I've felt have changed and gotten better with like my health, then I'll share that. But I think really what the thing is, I feel like I encourage people to just be more conscious of what they eat, and how they eat, and just know that it plays a role in forget like performance and like race times or whatever. It just plays a role in like your overall health and longevity and life.
Oh, yes.
And as long as there's people that like will have done all the research that they need to do,
Mm-hmm.
and they've done all their Googles,
Mm-hmm.
that they think that eating a certain types of food helps them that maybe I don't eat.
Yeah.
But as long as they've done their research and they
Yeah.
are eating it for these reasons, and that's
Mm-hmm.
fine, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so for so long, especially like in the black community,
Yes.
I think our relationship with food, or like the knowledge we have about the food that we're
Mm-hmm.
eating, is so low, and
Yes.
we just eat just to eat, you know. And I don't think there's not much thought and like
Yeah.
intention put into,
Yes.
not all black people obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
just the black
Yes.
community as a whole is just
Yes.
it's just like kind of sad to think about. At one point
Mm-hmm.
I thought that certain food was just like, that's just normal, that's good for
Yes.
you, but that's
Yes.
protein, but like it is protein, but then it also is like fried, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and everything they could be fried in, you know.
Yes.
So I just think that what I want is to just show that a really healthy version of a black guy.
Yes.
And if you decide to go vegetarian or just cut back on certain things
Mm-hmm.
because of me, then great.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. I totally agree. You know, I mean, I'm from the South, you know, and we eat for the tutor to the rooter, you know, every
Yeah,
day,
yeah,
you know. No, I got
yeah,
girl that had the ham heart, the fat back, and wherever
yeah, man. Yeah, man.
and so I'm grateful to be here in San Diego. And I tell people like I'm a bougie eating or whatever. I like my avocados, you
Yeah,
know,
man.
and and stuff like that, you know. So yeah. And I try to
Yeah.
try to go vegan. It's hard, you know, trying to, you know, but no, but I think it's worth it. You know, I'm grateful to be where I'm at right now, my age, to able to do what I'm doing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm from, you know, in the South, people like me and around my age don't do what I'm doing, you know. So
Mm-mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have some gratitude. So eating healthy, you know, and just to expand my mind, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to try something different,
Mm-hmm.
from where I'm raised, definitely have been helpful. You
Yeah.
know, allow me to continue to do what I'm doing instead of the medication, hopefully.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
because just so many of us, especially, you know, like middle to older age,
Mhm.
black folks, and anybody really, but I
Mhm.
mean, in my experience,
Yeah.
just so many black folks just on all type of meds that just
Yes.
are just, it's almost like natural, like, yeah, once you get to a certain age, you got to take blood pressure pills, or
Yeah.
you got to do this, you got to do that, and
Yeah. Yeah.
like just the laundry list of like, you know, medications that,
Mm.
you know, so many people take. It's just,
Mm.
you got to do what you got to do once you're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But then if there's an option for like younger folks just to be more aware,
Yes.
like
Aware. Yeah.
where this, like where
Mm.
that
Yeah.
leads to, I mean, I
Yes.
think
Yes.
that's the vibe.
Oh, that really started. It started at a young age,
Hmm.
and educating the kids, and then the black community or whatever community that is impacted by that, like with health
Yeah,
issues, So yeah,
yeah.
so yeah.
Beautiful. Drafting off of this and kind of moving more into run specific questions.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Drafting. I like that.
There you go.
He's
That's how we do
slick.
runners,
He's
right?
slick. He's slick. Yeah, I like that.
Um,
Forget segue. We're just gonna draft onto this next.
so where do you see the best? So yes, where do you see the best moves being made in the sport? We'll start with the sport of running, right?
Mhm.
Where do you see the best moves being made in the sport of running towards increased representation and equal access? And on the other side, where do you see the biggest opportunities for growth?
So like the best moves, as in like, you know, like what companies are doing, or certain folks are doing the right things, you know? Is that what you mean?
Well, so the next question will be about the industry. I'm wondering
Okay.
about the sport right now that
Oh,
you're
like just the act of like running, yeah. Yeah, so I think there's some really cool things going on with like local run clubs, you know. And it has been since like 2020, really. I mean, the ones that like really stand out to me are obviously We Run 313, who's based here in Detroit. It started before the pandemic, and then there's a couple others that started, pre-pandemic, but were like in really good positions as a group, and already had a lot of traction to be able to kind of use like 2020 as like a launch pad, because everybody was, kind of stuck, and people started running around that time, and people that ran needed, were just like looking for a way to connect with people, especially after, once it was safe to do so. So I think the more the rise of like the run club, the more you start to see, a real push towards like diversity and representation in the space, because the people that are starting the run clubs and leading the run clubs are the, it's like me creating something in my area. It's going to look like me eventually. You know what I mean? And speaking for like We Run 313, it's like two Black guys from Detroit started a run club in Detroit, and so many people come from all over the Metro Detroit area. But it's a predominantly Black run club, not by like, hey, only Black people can show up, pull up. It's like anybody pull up, but the energy that they bring to the run, and to the advertising of it, and to the campaigns, and to the music that they select for whatever they're going to do, it's going to represent how they feel inside, and how they've been raised. So it just attracts more people like that, and then it attracts other people outside as well that, that enjoy and can see the energy, and they want to just come to be a part of this thing, not because like, oh, I want to go, help them diversify. It's like, I just want to pull up because it's a good group.
Yeah.
And so many groups are doing that around the country.
Yes.
And the more that those come up, the more we eventually will start seeing more representation like on the start lines.
Yeah.
So like, I think that like, I forgot where I heard it, but I feel like, running is like, I know where I heard it. Drew Hartman from Tracksmith has a podcast now. And I think somewhere they were talking about running as a sport versus running as an activity. So like running as an activity is like the run club, and just going outside and jogging because that's what you do every day. And we're starting to see more representation in minorities and Black and brown folks, in the running as an activity. And eventually the more that grows, then you'll obviously see more representation in running as a sport, aka like the industry side, when it comes to like race, actual racing,
Yes.
and companies and industry and ads and stuff like that.
Cool. And within that space where you have, running as the activity and as well as the sport, where do you see areas that, you're like, we need more representation on these points, if you could think of any?
Well, I'd love to see, more Black folks on the start line, obviously. It's not necessary, but it's, because I guess if I had to choose, I'd rather there be, I'd rather there be like a true representation of like per capita, whatever, how many Black folks are in the country versus, whatever. I wish like the proportions were more accurate and representative of like how many Black folks are here, in like the activity. Like I'd rather more Black people just running because they know it's healthy. It makes them feel good mentally, physically, all that stuff. I'd rather that number be higher than to say like, oh, I need to see some Black people at the race. Like that's, I guess, secondary, but I would love to see more people that look like me and vibe like me at these races. And I think you're seeing more and more of that, which is great. And then like when it comes to like industry side of things, I think there's some companies that have done really good in the space. I mean, a bunch of companies did a lot of really cool things in 2020 and 2021. But like not saying, I don't know what I'm saying, but I feel like they could, some of them trailed off a little bit. And I'm biased because I am Black. So like, I'd love to see more companies hold to how firm they sounded and seemed in 2020 and 2021. But then I also know that there's other causes and other folks that, need and need attention, you know, and deserve attention. So I'd love to see just more brands tapping into what people on the ground have going on. I've had the opportunity to work with different brands that seem like they understand that even though like I don't have 200,000 followers, that what my following does represent, like what I represents more than just my follower count, I guess, you know. Because whatever I do, hopefully I'm naturally going to bring all of who I am to this event, and that could spark, number one, another creator to be like, oh dang, I want to do stuff like that too. And then on top of that, oh well, that's dope, this brand really tapped into somebody that I really follow and admire and whatever. And so I'm gonna rock with that brand. I mean, that's a win-win. And then also like, hey, I want to be involved in the running industry, because there's so many people, white, black, whatever, that aren't involved in the running industry at all. It's just the activity. They just go out and run, but they're not pulling up to like an event. They're not even signing up for races, which is fine. But it would be cool if there's a way to kind of connect those more, especially on the minority side of things. Like, dang, like Tommie's hosting this event. I've never been to a running event before, you know, outside of like that 5K or whatever I did. I want to come to that. I want to experience what brands have to offer. And I know that I'm going to be welcome because I can see that, that like this person obviously made it with someone like me in mind, you know?
Absolutely. Love it. Yeah, definitely. You know, I got the goal for you, you know, for me, you know, like us to inspire others, you know, to see what possible, you know, what you could do. Not just activity, but just being in the industry, to run the industry, you know, to see, you know, that, you know, you could do more, you could be more, you know. Yeah, definitely, you know. Just like blacks on the trails, you know, being running trails, you know. And not too many, there few here and there, you know, out on the trails, you know. But you know, but it's sure people who look like me, where I'm from, that, you know, hey, black people can run the trails, we can run hills, you know, and stuff like that, you know. We could go the distance too, you know. So definitely, you know. So so it is out there. You got, you know, hella good, you know, who doing that, you know.
I mean, and because like just for the black folks, I know like we're skeptical of stuff, you know what I mean? It's like it's like certain things we just naturally see and like, no, that's not our thing. That's a white people thing. You know? But it's like, if unfortunately you just need more, you know, you just need more people doing things. Because like me just being one guy doing a thing, not that I am the only person doing a thing, but if I was to say be the only trail runner there is, and I could be as black as I want to be, you know, it don't even, that's not gonna be like, you know, that's not gonna all of a sudden next year be like, oh we're all trail running, you know. It just takes like those seeds to be planted for a couple people to join, and then they bring somebody else. So really it's all about like that reach back. Like it's like for the people, for like the minorities and folks that are like trailblazing in like say trail running, for instance, to not only just be strong representation of like who they are and what they are, it's turn around like and say and try to pull people that look like you to like to come along, you know, because you know, if you're just you know, not to like single a guy out or anything, but like, so like Michael Jordan, like he never spoke on anything, you know what I mean? Like that was like, it was an era where like you just sell the shoes and shoot the basket, you know what I mean? You know, but like he, you know, he didn't need help bringing black folks, but he wasn't one of those ones that turned around and said, hey, come on, we're gonna do this together, you come with us. So we don't need any more like big random stars in running that are just a figurehead, you know what I mean? We need people are pulling people along.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just have like bring to in the community and tell, come on, you can go to the trail with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit by little bit. It seemed like a daunting task to go to the trails, but once you get out there, it can go. It's like it's the best thing you
Yeah.
can do.
I ran a 25K trail race like less than 1 year into like this running thing.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, still to this point, it was probably one of the most enjoyable like
Yeah.
running experiences that I've had actually.
Yes, definitely it is. Yeah. No, it's hard, but the view make it all worth it.
Oh yeah. Be careful with that view though, bro. Like you need to be looking down at the roots too. You can't be enjoying the view too much unless you're gonna stop and stand still.
Yeah, that would mean we stop and
Yeah,
stand still. Yeah,
yeah.
you enjoy the view. We can stop for a minute and see the view. Yeah,
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 you gotta stop. Yeah, nope. Anybody wanting to try trail racing, this is if you want to catch the view, pull over to the side, stop because looking around will get you messed up on a trail. I've
Oh,
seen it.
oh yeah, I messed up a few times. I've fallen a few times out there.
Mhm.
Hey, you're a trail runner where you fall and got some bruises. You're
Okay.
you're official trail runner.
Well, I'm not. Luckily, I'm not official yet, man. Because
You got to work on that, Tommie. You got to get official and fall on a
Yeah.
trail sometimes. I think.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the goal. The goal is to be the first to never fall.
Oh, okay. All
That's the
right.
goal. That'll be the goal.
Okay. But I know a couple things you're official at. You complete that and make the transition more easier. Half marathons, Miami, New York. You do a couple full marathon, Boston, and in New York, and I think you did the New York Marathon.
Yep.
Yeah, so what keep you going back to the distance, or do you have any thoughts of racing shorter or maybe even longer distance, like maybe 50K, 50 miles, 100 miles?
See, man, yeah, you're asking too much, man. I don't know though. Now, I think when I first started running, like I ran my first race, like real, I guess race was a half marathon because I was trying to raise money for a charity.
Okay.
For a charity called Move for Hunger.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing. And then I liked the process. I liked the race. I liked crossing the finish line. So I kind of took some time off because I had an injury, but then got right back into it, and then just started kind of signing up because next thing you know, you find somebody else that runs, and they're more experienced than you. She actually, the person that got me to that trail race, is a trail runner. She's done a couple 100-milers. Nice. And she introduced me to Luke Humphrey Running. That's the marathon, the guy who wrote Hanson's Marathon Method book, and he has a training group. So I ended up getting my coach from there, but I got the coach because I wanted, at less than a year in, I'm like, I want to qualify for Boston.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? My sister actually was the one that said, hey, you should try it because I ran that 25K.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, if you can do that on this trail thing, you could probably qualify for Boston. And we had no idea what that meant, but we kind of worked it out, looked at the times. And at the time I would have needed 3:05 to qualify for Boston. And then so I got a coach pretty quickly in August, I think July or August of 2019. And then the goal was to run the Detroit Free Press in October, the full marathon, to not try to qualify for Boston, but to see if I could run like 3:15. And then if we could do 3:15, she's like, well, we can. Melissa Johnson White, who was actually a professional runner as well.
Okay.
Not as well. I'm not a professional runner. She's a professional runner. She's like, if you can run 3:15, fairly new to this whole training thing, then maybe we can get you down to sub 3:05 by April of the following year.
Yes.
So I ran 3:13:30 for the first marathon, and then the second one got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
I did run like a half marathon as a tune-up race. But I ran really well. It was the day after the Olympic trials in Atlanta. It was at the Publix half marathon. So that went really well, but everything got canceled. Yeah. And so like always, as soon as I got in, I was about like the longer distance. I've run like 5Ks and 10Ks and stuff like local in the summer as just ways to have fun, run with my friends, all that stuff. But right now the goal is like half or full. Like I did the half in
Okay.
Miami as to see where I was because obviously Boston's coming up, and I
Yes.
ran New York City half a couple weeks ago now, as a tune-up for Boston. But I think I think it's like I think I've done 6 marathons so far, I think, or 5,
Okay. Okay.
something like that. But I did the 3 last year in a row, September, October, November.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Oof.
50Ks and 100Ks and stuff like that. Maybe
Maybe.
sometime this year. I would do a 50K this year.
Okay.
I would.
All right. Cool. Awesome. That'd be great. You know, keep us informed.
Yeah, no, sure. Oh yeah, trust me. If you
Yeah.
notice, everything I do is mildly loud. So like
Yes.
if I run a half marathon, you'll know about it for sure. I mean, if I run a 50K, you're gonna know about it for sure.
Okay then. So we're gonna get back to the New York course.
Mhm.
You know, so you run it before one time? How many times you run New York?
I ran New York City Marathon in November, the full marathon once, and then I ran the New York City half
Okay.
once.
Okay. So what's your strategy for running the New York Marathon again? Also, what advice will you give to a newcomer or people who want to improve on the performance at the New York Marathon?
Well, New York was kind of tough because last
Yes.
year it was 70 something degrees at the start. So I mean, it was a really hot day.
Ooh.
And then it was also the third of the 3 marathons that I did in 60 days. So it was definitely not it wasn't goal race worthy for me. I tried to make it a goal race. But if I could do it over, I probably would have tried to run my faster time in Chicago the month before.
Oh yeah.
But I think that for New York, I feel like definitely people need to train for hills, get some hill training in because people think New York and they kind of just think, oh, flat, like whatever. New York is not flat. You're going over the bridges, and then also even it's not just the bridges that are hilly. You'll have like a lot of slow, gradual rises for a good distance in New York City. So it's like it's kind of like it's hillier than you'd expect. And then the hills just come at all the worst times, like the Queensboro Bridge or whatever. What's that, like mile 14 or 15? And then it's just more. It's never. It's not never flat, but when you need it to be flat, it's not. And then when you get towards the end, you're messing around Central Park area. That gets a little hilly and rollers, and that Central Park stretch feels like you're climbing mountains by that time. You're at like 25 plus miles or whatever at that time. So I would say train for hills. I guess, but apparently prepare for whatever weather there could be. I don't know. I think New York could be a fast course, but you definitely have to be ready for climbing hills for sure.
The hills can sneak up on you, and like you really don't expect hills. Like what? This hill? Oh,
yeah. Like so, and I mean, yeah, they're bridges too. So it's like
bridges.
It's not even just. I mean, it's not even just like a little. I mean, it's not like a little rolling hill. Like it's like some of these, like you're climbing.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, be ready for that.
Be ready. Be aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking to New York, I was excited that in your Two Black Runners interview that you said if you'll do it, Aaron would do it because Aaron's a good friend, and the more that you can push him to run marathons, and I'm psyched on that, because he's such a talented runner and a good friend. So
for sure.
Did you talk offline? Like, is he in or?
I don't know. We didn't talk offline yet about it, but I mean, I'm down for sure.
Yeah, I'll bug him too. So I'll
get it. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, that's cool. So let's move to some more fun. Like you got all the shoes behind you,
All right.
And so I'm gonna put that credit to Greg too, because he's a shoes head, he worked for HOKA. So which shoes are both of y'all training and racing in?
Well, man, so I'm a little more at liberty to try other shoes. I mean, Greg's like, I got a few hokas here I could talk about. But I love HOKA.
Okay.
I guess what would I say? What's your favorite your HOKA favorite training shoe right now?
Oh man, how much time you got? As of right now, the first Hoka I tried on was the Clifton 3, and just like,
Okay.
and here, been working with the company for 3 years, 4 years, 3 months now, and yeah, the 9 just came out, and
I love that.
it's
I like the 9 a lot. It's
we
actually pretty pure, yeah.
crushed it. Yeah, it's 3 more millimeters of cushioning just adds to like more power, I feel like, that comes on each stride. The upper's really dialed in. It's all super light. I've taken it on, I live right by Griffith Park, so I've taken it on, trail segments, done speed workouts in it. Training shoe, I'd say that's probably my favorite right now. But then I just did, I referred to No Shortcuts earlier in our conversation. I just did a pretty decent 18 miler in the Rocket X2s as well. And they're, just lethal. Absolutely amazing. Amazing feedback foam, combined with the carbon plate. They just ask for more of whatever I bring them on. So those are my road options. Trail Challenger 7s are really doing me good right now. Plenty of power and very lightweight, and can't beat these colors either. So
no, the Hoka's doing like really like cool stuff with like the color side. I mean, because some brands like are slowly coming around with the color scheme thing, and Hoka seems to have like jumped, and they're doing some cool stuff. I definitely like the I like the Kawana a lot for some reason. I didn't think that I would. I'm like, okay, it's not much here, but for some reason I really like that. I love the Rocket X2. That's what I ran in Miami. And I like the first Rocket. I wasn't a fan of, what was the other one?
Carbon X3?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the Carbon X 1, 2, or 3. And I always liked the Rocket better. But then this Rocket X2 really put them like in the conversation of like marathon and half marathon shoes. To like, that's like a choice, like not just like, oh, I really like Hoka, so I'm gonna stick with this. It's like, this is an actual choice, even for someone that has run in other brands, raced in other brands before. So it's it's definitely a good entry into like the marathon shoe game talk. But like for other training shoes that I'm really liking right now is the Asics the Super Blast is my favorite trainer right now. It's just really good. I think On came out with I can't even, I'm like drawing all blanks now, but On came out with a running shoe just recently. Obviously a running shoe, but it's like a trainer, but it's kind of lower profile. I'm blanking on the name right now. But just give me a minute, I'll think of it. But the On has a really good offering. They got rid of that normal On speedboard thing. And it's like more like in the line of like a normal like running shoe. So they did a really good job at like reaching and kind of coming out of like their normal. Because sometimes like brands are so true to like what they do that they can't like just jump into that next, like, wow, this is a dope running shoe. So they did a good job with that. And then I think my favorite racing shoe right now, I would, before like the other day, I wouldn't have known, like, because I have a few that I really like. And I just tried on the Vaporfly 3s for the first time on Wednesday. And I think Nike might have my heart back, man, because they like, I always liked the Vaporflies in general. I wasn't a big fan of Alphas. But the Vaporfly 3 they really did their thing with that for sure.
Cool.
Gotcha,
Awesome.
gotcha. Well, let's make the right, Kenneth. Please speak to your preferences right now.
Yeah.
Oh man. Over the years, I tried out different brands, and trying to figure what worked best for me. And when I first got to this running thing, this training, the crazy running thing, I tried HOKA like way back then when HOKA was first getting started. Maybe I didn't know how long. I forget how long HOKA been around. I tried one like 9-10 years ago. So yeah, it went pretty well. And then I switched up over the years. a friend of mine told me about Aces, you know, so I tried Aces Life for the Road a little bit, you know, and then I tried like Nike. The first time I had a pair of Nike for my first half marathon on the road, I tried it one time. I didn't like a feel on my feet. I returned it back the next day, and I tell I will not get any more pair of Nikes, you know. And I had an interview with Sally Murray about that, you know, and kind of joke with her. Kind of she's sponsored by Nike, you know. So then, yeah, you know, and so. But recently I did try a pair of Nike trail shoes. So now I would have done that, go back to, you know, so they felt pretty good, you know. But but yes, I guess, you know, so it's all depends, you know. So yeah.
It's so many good options out there. I mean, most of and it was the on cloud surfer. It was what I was talking about. But there's so many brands are just doing really great jobs, you know, like moving along and making sure it's comfortable for folks.
Yeah. But I had a pair of own trail shoe before. It was okay for me.
Yeah.
You know, and then they didn't work too well for me, maybe because I'm flat footed or whatever. I don't know. All depends.
Well, no, the first on shoe that I tried on, I didn't like. It was like and it was one of their staples. I think it was like the Cloud.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was now, but I just didn't like it. And I'm like, I thought it was gonna be more cloud-like. And it wasn't at all. So like I'm like, this isn't good. And then they came out the Cloud Monster, which was much softer and more like other, you know, running shoes that you'd expect. And then so I like the fact that all brands seem to be kind of ditching, you know, maybe their old look at, you know, sometimes to try to go for a better performance. But Hoka's stayed true, man. Hoka's winning out on the consistency game right now.
Hoka's out there. Definitely. I love colors too. Now I'm a big colors guy, you know. So I like that pop, you know. Yeah, I know. So I like to look good because me being a black man, I like to look good around run too.
Yeah. You gotta look good. I mean, people don't understand like how. I mean, colorway and the color schemes play a really big role into like, you know, into like how I purchase and would want to purchase shoes, you know? Like, I think when I was wearing these terrible shoes, and they're not terrible shoes, but they're not meant for running. They were like these Adidas, like Pharrell, you know, Pharrell had that collab with Adidas and they barely had shoestrings and it was just like a sock pretty much. I was wearing those to train and hurt my foot or whatever. So I go into this shoe store and the lady, you know, she's looking at my feet, had watched me walk, all that stuff, you know, whatever. And so she brings out these two shoes and they got to be the two of the, I'm not going to talk about the brands, but two of the ugliest shoes at that time that I had seen. I'm like, I can't put these shoes on. Like, I'm number one, it's not a lot of black folks at that time for sure that I knew running, period. So I'm definitely not going to be one of the only people that I know running in these. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause my friends would be like, yo, I'm not running if I got to wear these, you know,
I know.
Might as well just, you know, just do what I'm doing. I'm fine. But like, you know, shoe color, you know, colorway and design and stuff like that. It really plays a role into like how I shop. I'll put it like.
Yeah, it make you feel good. You would make you feel good when you put on the shoes. You know, you run hard, you feel good, you look good.
Exactly.
You know, you look good, you feel good, you run good.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I wore a polo shirt in my last race because I wanted to, you know, dress for success. Dress for success, you know.
Love it. How about go back to the alligator, you know, with out there, like
oh man, no, I can't go that far. I gotta have. I mean, because it was a Tracksmith polo, so it's made out of the same material as their like running shirts. So like, and it was New York and it was cold anyway, so I buttoned it up.
There you go. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So. For running, also nutrition. We talked a little bit about that already. So do you have a nutrition preference during training versus during the races? Or
well, like, you know, beforehand I try to eat, you know, I'm a carbs guy. I like carbs and carbs like me, you know. So we're friends. So I
Okay.
try to make sure I eat enough to make sure I stay fueled and things like that. But
Yeah.
on the runs during training and racing,
Mhm.
I use UCAN Edge
Yeah.
packets.
Mhm.
And then I always follow up all my runs or
Mhm.
definitely hard efforts with like the UCAN like protein.
Mhm.
There I'm actually one of their ambassadors as well. So like I mean it's just kind of like easy for me to say, but at the same
Yeah.
time I used them for a year or so before getting to that point. So
Okay.
it was really cool for me. And that's one of the other things I was talking about before is like
Yeah.
as I'm growing as a whatever this is I'm doing,
Mhm.
I'm trying to make sure that whatever brand I like align with
Mhm.
or join their energy, I
Mhm.
try to make sure that they're okay with me, not okay, but they want me to continue going in the direction I'm going and doing the things that I do. So
Okay.
shout out to UCAN for creating space or allowing
Yeah.
space and making space for me in their ethos for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but I think I always encourage people to whatever works for you, make sure you use it,
Mhm.
during training. I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
like when a nutrition or energy brand says, make sure you practice with our gels,
Mhm.
it sounds like they're just telling you to like
Mhm.
buy more, just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, use all the packets that you bought before the race and then come back and buy more,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you really do need to practice with the nutrition that
Oh
you're
yeah.
going to use on race day.
Yeah.
Because if you say, let's just, for example, you race in October
Mhm.
and you can work for you,
Mhm.
and then your next race isn't until April,
Mhm.
your body changes, and and can get used to other things
Mhm.
while you're training. And if you don't
Yeah.
practice that and make sure your body's ready for it and
Mhm.
it can accept it at that time in your
Mhm.
life, you could have a total different experience with the same gels
Mhm.
6 months apart.
Yeah.
So always practice with what you're going to race in,
Mhm.
just so like the day comes, that's one thing checked off that you don't even have to worry about.
Mhm.
Because running a marathon in whatever race, or 5K, 10K, half,
Mhm.
full, 10,000-mile race, whatever you're doing, is hard enough, by itself. So
Yeah.
don't add to like to it by like guessing whether this is going to work for you today or not.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree.
Awesome. Well, to close with our questions, so obviously the name of the podcast is Boundless.
Mhm.
So Tommie, I'm wondering how, you know, you already seem pretty boundless, on paper already. You do so much and everything. I'm wondering, where does, if you were to take that name and apply it to your life and your approach to everything that you're doing, how would you say that you find yourself boundless? Where does this motivation come from? And yeah, I guess I'll leave it there.
Dang, I should have been prepared. Uh, I don't. That's a good one. I mean, I'll just be transparent.
Yes.
That's just my thing that I do. Apparently, I feel extremely bad. I feel extremely limited. You know, I've the way that I lived my life, prior to sobriety, and the way
Mhm.
that like the whatever structures I set in
Mhm.
my head and belief
Mhm.
system are very limiting. And so all I can say is that, I doubt myself constantly.
Mhm.
I, need approval.
Mhm.
All the things that maybe it doesn't look like on
Mhm.
my Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm introverted mostly. Like I'd rather
Mhm.
just be around a couple people and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Um, all this stuff that happens that I'm doing
Mhm.
outwardly is not natural for me, you
Mm.
know. So take that for what it is,
Yes.
and take mine something encouraging out of that.
Yes.
But I guess what I'm saying is, if I, knowing myself in all the like the negative things that I tell myself and have told myself, and
Mhm.
the life I lived
Mhm.
up to the point when I decided to get better and take care of myself,
Mhm.
if I can be here doing this, then anybody literally can do their thing that they want to do. Just
Yes.
find your passion, find what
Yeah.
is is big enough for you to reach farther than you reached before, and it'll end up working out, even if you feel limited, and even if you feel
Mhm.
like the same person 10 years ago that
Mhm.
keeps second guessing it. but just keep reaching, and you know, it'll work out.
That's well said. I like that. I like that. You know, it takes finding your purpose, your passion, to get out of your, you know, your comfort zone, which is being by yourself or being introvert, and just really going and being uncomfortable, you know,
Yeah.
and doing what you probably never thought you could have done, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things about, like, to me, about living in like this moment and like being where your feet are and one step at a time. Because it really the boundaries, I guess, really aren't in that like one step. You know, it's like the boundaries you set are like a little farther out from that. Like, if you're running, you're tired, and you start projecting to the boundary, and you're like, okay, like I don't think I can run 10 more miles at this pace. That's the problem. I mean, but can you run right now? Like, are you okay at this moment? And if the answer is yes, and normally it is, you know, sometimes it's not, but normally at that moment when you're creating this boundary, this future boundary for yourself, you're fine. So really just check with yourself right now. Like, am I okay right now? Then the answer is normally yeah.
All right, cool. Love that.
Hey, that was amazing. That, you know, vulnerability has tremendous freedom that comes with it, and that felt, you know, exactly like that. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. It takes a lot to be vulnerable, you know, to share yourself, you know, and just really go out there and get out of your comfort zone, you know. But what you're doing, definitely you're inspiring other people, you know. So about doing what you do.
And I don't know if y'all gonna end it soon or not, but
yes,
I think one more thing, like just to kind of tag onto that.
Go ahead.
Is the vulnerability piece of that. Like, I mean, there's such thing as oversharing, because people sometimes, like, people are vulnerable, but they just overshare. It's like, oh, nobody needed to know that. But like being vulnerable, I encourage like people to hear the things that I'll talk about like openly on like Instagram or in an interview or whatever, because I think sharing is how we can help each other. You know, walking into rooms like the AA meetings and, you know, through my sobriety journey, if people in those rooms weren't vulnerable with their thing, and they weren't vulnerable to tell their stories, then I wouldn't be here today, because their vulnerability allowed me to see past, you know, their skin color, their age, their whatever. And I'm like, oh, we experienced the same thing in a way. So I think the more people just share, you know, responsibly share.
Yes. I totally agree. Even with my day job, you know, wherever, you know, my 9-to-5 job, you know, working with homeless, you know, working with veterans, you know, and I think it really would help the sharing other people's story, even sharing my story, you know, and the power of storytelling is so powerful, you know, because the people that need hope, that people that need to be inspired, you know, some people down and dumps, you know, and think there's no way, you know, but sometimes you got to motivate them, encourage them, and to share your story, you know, with them, and hopefully they'll be inspired, continue to move forward in life, you know. You know, especially with some of the veterans I work with, you know, younger veterans, you know, who down, you know, who feel like, you know, who needs like hope, or they need hope, you know, and maybe it could be that hope to them to show what's possible.
100%.
Yeah. So definitely, so thank you for that. And thank you. And so before we close it out, if people want to, people probably know how to reach out to you anyway, but share how people can get in contact with you.
Just Instagram, at Tommie Runz, TOMMIE_RUNZ. Everything lives there and spreads from there. I do, for if anybody's listening to this and they're in the Michigan area, I'm actually hosting an event with Adidas. It's a spring marathon kickoff party. No running really involved. It's just going to be a panel of some local people in the community that are talking about community building and their journeings. But Adidas, you know, is going to have food and drinks, and there's a DJ and all that stuff. So pull up. I'm trying to bring the big, you know, running industry vibe to the area. So pull up. It's on the 10th of April at 7:30 p.m.
Nice.
I got a question for you, Kenneth.
Oh man,
Can
gonna
I
put me in
can
the
I can I
spot.
kick you a question?
Go ahead.
All right. So you've asked me a lot of good ones today, so I just want to like just end this with one.
Okay.
How's it feel to be a flyer at HOKA?
I'm not. I'm not. I can't say I read a flyer right now. I'm not. I'm not. I mean, we friends, we great friends, but I'm not really officially a flyer for HOKA.
I don't know.
Huh?
Kenneth, you've been selected. Congratulations. Welcome to the team.
Ah,
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
oh man, you got me. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you got me real good. You got me really good. I didn't see that coming.
That was
Uh,
the plan.
hey, man, you gonna make me cry, man.
Man, no tears,
Man,
no
Ah,
tear. Oh,
ah,
I was gonna say no tears, but tears are okay. You know.
man.
safe space.
I want trying to be quick. I know we're going, but hey, no, it doesn't matter. But this running journey, well, this the journey of running. I'll tell you the story. It just started for me because I failed my Navy weigh-in about 10, 11 years ago. I just failed my Navy weigh-in, and then I had a decision to make. Not just for the Navy, but for life. To make a change, and I wanted to happen again. Failed my Navy weigh-in. This running, it been a process to take a unexpected journey I didn't expect it to, from failing something and trying to just gain shape and to enjoy seeing the transformation was possible. Thanks to help with some friends in the running community, and over the years to take a whole new journey. And now just and doing what I'm doing right now the past couple of years in pre-COVID and during COVID. Just thank you for the people that have played a part just with this crazy idea by doing this social media platform we're running. So and put myself out there, like you say, and being vulnerable, sharing my story, sharing other people's story. And just to connect with some great people in this running community throughout the past few years, just been a blessing. And just how everything, just the process, the step, how everything take place to this point right now, and just gratitude, man. Just
Man,
Beautiful.
no, I'm happy I could be here for this moment, man. I love I love that like I love moments when you're able to like to see somebody, get with something that they deserve that they've been working for. And then maybe you haven't even been working for this one thing. Cause that's the thing is like, once you start a journey, once you start going in a direction, if it's true to you and it's a passion of yours, things just, you may aim for certain things, but other things just happen along the way that you could
yeah,
never expect.
yeah.
And it's just dope. I love
Yeah.
the journey, and it just started with you trying to take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's just always some like a personal thing in terms of the passion, enjoy our running, the beat downs, and hear it running. And then the past couple years turned to like a purpose, community, and sharing other people's story through my social media. That process, that journey become who they are. And then in the past couple years, do my job, I'm a shout out to Path, allow me to introduce running in my job and help those who need help, my fellow veterans, and other people, And so it turned like a full circle. Running had like involved for me throughout the years, and that bigger than me. The layer around balance is bigger than me. Layer around balance about y'all and just everybody else, And so, and just to leave your impact, and then just sure, yeah. So just and remain in gratitude, so definitely.
You the man, bro. You the man. You deserve it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're very excited to have you on the team. You bring tremendous value to your community and everything you're doing. The passion can't be faked, and it's very, very authentic and beautiful. And I'm very excited to be working with you more soon, Kenneth. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you, Greg, and HOKA for giving this old dude some chance, you know, opportunity, you know. Yeah, no. I'm not the youngest, so probably not the fastest, you know, but I enjoyed the community of running. I enjoy getting out there, and running had done a lot for me, you know. So it really just got me, you know, the trails have been a lot for me, you know, over the years, you know, not just great gratitude. You know, so I'm probably not going to take too long, you know.
Congrats, man. Congrats.
No, yeah.
Not a
So,
problem. Yep.
but again, thank you, Tommie. You know, for work out your schedule and being the East Coast.
No, yeah, no problem, man.
And just for joining Little Run Balance family and myself in the Little Run Balance show. And thank you, Greg, for the connection. And definitely shout out to Aaron Potts for making that connection for us. You know, it wasn't for Aaron, you know, it probably wouldn't be possible, you know. So definitely thank you for Aaron.
Yeah, full circle. So yeah, Aaron introduced
Yeah.
and and you're gonna get him to you know, run New York. So it's all
Yeah,
man. We might as well do it.
Yeah. So thank you again, Greg, for being my guest co-host, you know, and so I definitely appreciate it. Appreciate the relationship that we developed and things we could do together in the future with HOKA. So yes. And thank you, Little Run Balance family, for joining me for that episode of the Little Run Balance show. You know, I like to end it living a life beyond the boundary you set on yourself. Now I appreciate it. Tommie, for being an example of that, being sober for 6 years, changing his life around, and just really being true to himself and putting himself out there, and just inspiring people like me and other people, you know, and continue to do that. So that truly be living beyond what you put your limit on yourself, beyond the limit that you put yourself. And saying that, anybody don't got last word for I officially close out?
No, man, you said it. You said it.
Okay, all righty. And to Nestown family,